All right. Happy Friday, everybody.
Happy Friday.
And welcome to the Back Catalog Listening Party. My name is Mother Banjo, one of your hosts.
My name is Anthony Ihrig, another host.
And today we have Rachel Ries joining us from her tiny home.
Whoa, sound effects.
Yeah. No, it's
You know
real.
it.
The folks
Yeah.
are out there, man.
Yeah, I got a whole crew back here.
Yeah, exactly. And you might know Rachel Ries from her project, Her Crooked Heart. But today we are going to be talking about a pre-Her Crooked Heart release, which we're really excited about. I'm going to dig into the archives as we do every week on the Back Catalog Listening Party. But, it's snowy here in Minneapolis. The Omicron's raging, and it's a good day to stay in and enjoy some music together and have a safe happy hour at home.
Amen.
Agreed.
So, looks like Chris has joined us from Savage.
Hey, Chris.
Yes, and
Hello.
Connie from Richfield.
Hey, Connie, got a little snowflake in Richfield too, I see.
Yeah, and Alan from Texas. I'm guessing probably not snow in Texas, but who knows? They had a snowstorm in Nashville, like a week ago, so you just never know. And woo! Yeah, okay, I'm feeling that. And then
I know Frag.
yeah.
Adrian! Oh, hey!
Alan says I'm not telling what temperature it is. Yeah, we don't want to know probably how warm it is there. But I decided I would do a fancy cocktail to just celebrate because I'm so excited for today's show. So I'm having it's actually my Christmas cocktail. It's the leftovers. It's cranberry, lime, and soda, and it's delicious. So that's what I'm doing today. What are you doing, Tony?
It's cold and snowy, and the wine is red and warming from the inside. So just a little box red wine here. I have to shovel yet today,
Classy.
so I don't want to be out there like with after too much. So we're keeping it classy. Yeah. How about you,
Excellent.
Rachel?
Well, I have myself, I dug out of my little mini fridge a fancy Delirium Tremens
Ooh,
Belgian ale. Some
that is-
fancy stuff going on here.
that's some good
Yes.
stuff.
Excellent.
High octane as well.
And it looks like we have Joe from South Minneapolis having Uncle Jim Beam, and then Romy in the UK joining us.
Romy! Hey!
Hey.
Hi, I know her too.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank
So-
you all for joining
Yeah,
us.
it's great to have you here. This is why we do this, right? Just to hang
Yeah.
out and have
Yeah,
some
and-
bubbly rosé. All right.
Yeah, Bev. Yeah, getting festive. That's what I was feeling like. I think it's because I'm still in my comfy pants that I thought I was like, oh yeah, but I'm gonna have a classy cocktail, so class it up. And we're so excited to have Rachel with us today. We're gonna dig into her 2014 release, Ghost of a Gardener. And she is joining us from her tiny home under construction. We'll be talking a little bit more about that in a little bit. But for folks who, I know you have some friends who've already tuned into the broadcast, but for people who maybe are less familiar with your music, maybe you could give us a little brief bio of like where you grew up and how you came to do this music thing and what led up to this record.
I grew up in South Dakota, primarily. Briefly a missionary kid in Africa. Highly recommended, 10 out of 10. But yeah, then South Dakota, and I was always a little artsy kid, and music and singing saved my life, probably. And scurried off to college, but dropped out very quickly because all I ever wanted to do was make music on stage and connect with people through songs. And I figured no academic path or track could teach me that. And so I found my way living on a farm as a hermit, getting better at writing songs in South Dakota. And then I found myself at the Kerrville Folk Festival because of a guy named Matt Faulkner. And there I met sort of my tribe of musicians, people who are still dear dear beloved friends, how many years later? 18 years later. Yeah, so I've been, music has been my life and my work and my career and my calling, for about that long, I guess, with dalliances with coffee shops and childcare, but not really anymore. And what led up to Ghost of a Gardener, um, uh, yeah, I had quit playing music for 2.5, 3 years. I was so when I was 27, I'd put out my second record, and then I released an EP with Anais Mitchell, called Country EP. And after that, I quit. I decided I was going to rip music out of my life and see if anything came to fill that gaping hole. If there's anything else that was the right shape to fill that hole that I had gouged out of myself. And after about 2.5 years of being a bit of a zombie, as Adrian can attest, I decided it was time to make music again, because life without music was really no good. And that is what led to Ghost of a Gardener. Kind of that return, that trying to learn how to, writing music is a muscle. It requires practice and muscle and attention, and it can go silent if you let it atrophy. And so, yeah, there was a time of relearning how to make. And yeah, so Ghost of a Gardener, I'm really proud of this record still, because it was the first time for me as a musician getting into the studio and knowing what I needed and knowing what I wanted and believing in myself and not feeling like the stupid girl in the room, and knowing when I didn't have the answer, knowing how to ask for help and all that. So really proud of this album and the production work of it. And yeah,
Very cool.
Excellent. Well, we are really excited to dig into it, so let's dig into it. We have the first track that you wanted to feature from the album is Ghost. Is there anything you want to say about it, or you just want to dive in and talk about it afterwards?
I will say that this song is very influenced by living in New York City at the time and longing for a plot of land, like feeling sort of bereft from earth and the world of growing things. And at the end of the song, it's sort of this determination that one day I will again have I will have green growing things. And even if it's not until my body is in the ground and food for those growing things, like whatever it takes, I'll have a garden again. So that's the cheerful song. I love this song.
Excellent. This is Rachel Ries, Her Crooked Heart, Ghost, here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
I'll return time and again to the door we entered in. No regrets, Mr. Dissident. I see, so now I know. I see, so now I know. 'Cause I'm a ghost, I'm a gardener, and I'm lost in the room. I am lost with you. I'm lost. I'm a ghost of a gardener, and my rose of thistle bloom. I pick them for you. Quiet now, let's go to rest on the bed of lilies. planted. Of course they didn't ache, but a fine bed they'll make my dreams full of dirt. And you, my dreams of dirt. Well, I'm a ghost of a gardener in my rose of thistle bloom. I pick them for you. I pick them for you. But someday when my eyes are clouded white, I'll see this clear. I will see this clear. And when my hands are gnarled and tired, I'll lift this up. I will lift this up. And then when my body's gone, 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 I'll become the ground. I will become the ground. And the lilies, they'll be blooming, and the garden a belly full, and the willow bent for weeping. And I'll see this done. I will see this done.
All right. Rachel Ries
Nice.
with Ghost from her
So
2014 release. I
I wanted to
love
sing
that.
along so bad.
I know. Well, I want to talk about the vocals because, there's
Yeah.
as with all of your projects, I can't think of an album that doesn't have really amazing, interesting harmonies. And I know you sometimes play with a band, and your new project is Her Crooked Heart, which is more of
Yep.
a band project.
Yeah, yeah.
But for years you toured around as a solo artist, as Rachel Ries, and often playing sets by yourself. But is it because that you in a studio you get an opportunity to have more voices, whether it's
Yeah.
yours or other people, or is it just that's kind of where your heart lives anyway in those harmonies?
My heart lives in the harmonies, for sure. I mean, growing up in the Mennonite church, we're real good at the harmony. That is the lens through which I learned music, was voices together, raised in harmony. Yeah. And I've always sonically been wired that way. So it's no surprise that I ended up, I'm also the founding director of a rock and roll choir in the Twin Cities. It's like 65 singers, and I arrange 8-part Queen choral arrangements and
Nice.
epic.
Yeah,
so I get to unleash that part of my brain.
I do want to make sure that folks know about this, especially
Yeah.
folks in the Twin Cities. Kith and Kin Chorus is the name of the choir that you're talking about, and I think we might even have a couple folks on here today who are part of it, and you have some shows coming up in the Twin Cities on January 26th, kicking off the Great Northern Festival, and April
Yep.
29th. Is your big kind of finale concert with
Yep.
Jeremy Messersmith. But
Yep.
but if folks want to find out more about Kith and Kin Chorus, where can they? That's where
You
they
got
can
it
go.
right there. Kith and Kin Chorus. Yep.
Excellent. And
Yeah.
so but on this recording, who
Yeah.
was singing the harmonies on that? Was that
All
you?
right. Some of it. Let's see.
I have
Trying
a
to
group
think
of
now.
people that were playing on the record.
That
I
was
don't
the
know if anyone-
touring band. Yeah, so Ari, the little shorty there, she's all over the record. And so is Evan. He's the drummer on the record. Oh my gosh, such a joy to work with them. But the harmonies on that song most of like kind of over the choruses and all throughout, that is Kristen Slip, who, so this, I made this when I was living in New York City, and she is from a band called Cuddle Magic, and also Meadows, Meadows. Oh my gosh, please go check out Cuddle Magic and Meadows. She is one of my favorite singers on the planet. So you hear a bunch of her, you also hear Ari, and I think I may be doing an octave, like a lower harmony as well. But Her Crooked Heart, which is how I tour now, that's the name that I tour under with the band. And it's sort of like a collective, all lady collective band. And it was so much fun to restructure and kind of rearrange this song with drum triggers, cello, 2 woodwind players, and 4-part harmony. It's just, yeah, it's
Nice.
a banger, a total
That's
banger on stage.
I love that, and then we should mention because one of the members of that beautiful chorus of singers
Yeah.
is Siri, right, from
Yeah.
Harvard, who's been a guest here on Back Catalog. So
Sweet.
so listeners might remember her. But so this song, as you mentioned at the end, and Adrian was saying how much they loved that last section, which I would
Yeah.
agree with. And
Yeah.
as you said, it's joyous and fertile, and
Oh my gosh.
all of that greenery coming
Mhm.
forth from the
Yeah.
dirt. Yeah, amazing.
The probably one of the most glorious musical experiences I've ever had was maybe 4 years ago. So Kith and Kin Chorus, this choir that I run, I wrote a choir, like a backup choir arrangement of this song for them. And on our first season finale, very first, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I forget, 4 years probably ago, we played at Ice House, and the choir got up and sang that song with me. And to have a choir singing that outro was the most holy, for me, like such a holy, complete, transcendent experience. Yeah, I could ask for, I'm already verklempt just thinking about it.
There is
So,
nothing like a chorus of human voices singing together, and I have, during the last 2 years, I have missed it so much. And every time I've had a glimpse of it, like this summer when people were playing
Yeah.
again, holy moly, it
Yeah.
really it really is kind of my church too.
yeah,
So.
totally.
Yeah. And as someone was commenting on the album art, saying it was their favorite album art ever. And because we just were listening to this song, talking about the gardens, I figured this is a good time to chat about it. Tell us a little bit about this beautiful artwork. Who
gorgeous.
did it? And yeah.
I commissioned Erica Williams, and she is a Twin Cities based artist. This was long before I moved here, or ever thought I was going to move to the cities. I was just hunting for somebody who could get the right feel for what I wanted, which was this. Yeah. Is she dead? Is she sleeping? Is that centipede actually burrowing into her leg? Like, what's going on? Is she like turning into the garden, or is she coming back to life after, for me, a kind of death, when I stopped playing music? So,
And I also love the wing at the top left. Kind of looks like, I think it's from an insect or a dragonfly, but it kind of looks like it's coming from her. Like it could almost be a fairy wing.
Yeah. And my hands are kind of a little bit trapped inside this rib cage. You can kind of see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, did you share the music with her before she did this?
I think I must have. But I also had made sketches of kind of the form or the format of what I wanted, a different symbolism from the record that I wanted incorporated.
There's a lot to unpack in there for sure.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
And we should ask, do you still have CD copies of this album?
I do. I have CD copies and I have vinyl.
Whoa.
Which this is an
this
album
would
that you
be-
want to have on vinyl.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, even for the artwork alone, but as people are going to hear, the music is amazing. But I mean, it's such an art piece that I didn't know you had it on vinyl. So I'm going to have to head on over to your Bandcamp. Folks can do that scrolling on the screen. You can check it out. I have a CD copy, but yeah.
It's going to sound even better on the vinyl.
Oh, yeah.
I think I have 2 copies of 180 gram vinyl left of the first pressing.
Okay,
so
collector's
whoever gets there
items, folks.
That's right. And also, Rachel is coming to us from her tiny home that she's been building. And I don't know how much storage space you have in the tiny home. So you might
Oh my
need to
gosh.
get rid of some of these.
Please buy
That's
my
right,
records.
right. There's some grams of vinyl that you could unload for her, and I reckon you would sign it for them if they ordered it.
If they're local, I'll freaking like deliver it to you. I don't care.
That's awesome.
So I've built a tiny house on wheels, and so I do have a weight cap. So if you could, on the axles.
Yeah, the
so
vinyl's
if you
heavy.
Could really
It
remove
is.
the vinyl from my life, that'd be great.
Well,
Okay.
I put a link in the comments to her Bandcamp page. Go and click there. There's only two copies left of that vinyl, so you can go snatch that up. And
The second pressing is available, but I think
the first one always sounds better.
Yeah.
of course.
Speaking of comments, we should mention that if you're new to the Back Catalog Listening Party, this is what we do. We listen to music, we talk about it with the artists that made it, and we answer your questions. So if you have questions or comments throughout the show about the music or questions for Rachel, just throw them in there and we'll get to them as we can. And because there is a lot to talk about in this really rich music, but we want to get to more songs. So
Yes, of course.
the next track you picked to listen to is Holiest Day. Is there anything you want to say about it?
This is a lot of people's favorite. Holiest Day. It's about my Amish doppelganger. I wrote it when I met Annie, who is would be my relation if you go back far enough in our lineage because of Mennonites and the Amish. It's just about a time when I really wanted to give up my modern ways and just simplify my life and stop caring so much about being good enough and being productive enough. And I figured this lovely Amish lady had everything and more. She had, food, faith, family, a place to sleep. She was set. And here I was just like worrying about how many people had downloaded my album, which is just ridiculous and not real, perhaps. So I wrote this song.
All right, let's give it a listen. This is Rachel Ries, Holiest Day, here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
I drove away far from the lake. I found the farmer's daughter, and we could have been sisters if I were humble. Clothes muddy, red-cheeked, and reticent. I looked around and wished that I could stay and cover my head. I'd keep the fire going and I'd tuck the kids all into bed. See, I know all the hymns, I'd say my prayers and close my eyes to wake at dawn and do it all over again. So half in jest, I asked if I could stay and help milk the cows. Annie looked away. She said, just come back in an hour. Asking for more, we ask for more. Always for more, we ask for more. So I drove away back to the lake. precious things. I put the milk away, and I started to cry. I put the music on to fill the quiet. Oh, this cluttered life, we try, we try, we try, we try, we try. Asking for more, we ask for more. Always for more, we ask for more. Holiest day, break our nightmares in two. Holiest day, shape our nightmares into threes. Holiest day, take our nightmares before we wake. We ask.
Oh yeah, Holiest
Nice.
Day from Rachel Ries from her 2014 release Ghost of a Gardener, which we are revisiting today with Rachel Ries. And if you're looking for her online, look for Her Crooked Heart, because that's the band name she performs and records under now. But you can find her other Rachel Ries albums, like the one we're revisiting today, at that website. And Ross said, "My heart is crooked with joy." Yeah.
Ross, so is mine.
And Steve says, "This album, fond memories."
Hi,
Drinks.
Steve.
Yeah.
The UK is representing, by the way.
Today.
Yeah.
I like
Fantastic.
that.
Yeah.
And then Chris asks, "Rachel, do you write with a guitar or keys?" I'll assume the story comes before the music, but I don't know. That's a question. So, yeah, how do you write? On what instrument do you usually write, or is it whatever?
Generally, whatever instrument you hear predominantly in the song is what I wrote it on. Generally, so that when I wrote that guitar, that kind of intricate guitar picking riff, and story or music, I am one of those writers where it comes tumbling out at the same time. Like a song, 95% of the time is a fully formed fusion of language and music when it first comes out, like the first verse and chorus maybe, and then I have to like kind of pull and tease out the strands and edit and stuff. But yeah, they kind of show up together as this item that, or this like little creature that knows itself pretty clearly, and I just have to like respect it, not poke too hard.
And then it makes sense then that instrument would be a big part of whatever you wrote it on, would be a big part of the song, because they're so connected in the writing of the song.
Yeah.
And that's something that I'm curious about with all of these songs, but in that song in particular, as I was hearing all these really intricate arrangements of different sections and instruments coming in and out. Was that something you had in mind when you wrote it? Because you said the music and the words kind of come together. Do you have a vision before, how you think it's going to sound on recording when you're writing it? Or is this something that just you figure out later?
I think usually that slowly starts to kind of assert itself as I get to know the song. It's like, the heart of the song is known, but what she wants to be wearing or how she wants to feel can take a little bit more time. By the time I came to the studio, I knew exactly what I wanted for that song, the different passages and how the drums kick in at the second verse when I'm going back to my modern life, and like the churning of modern existence starts to kick in with the shuffle of the drums, that I knew. But sometimes that doesn't come right away. Interesting. Somebody in the comments earlier said something about Ghost, how they loved that bridge, and I feel like Ghost, the first one we heard, and this one, these two songs really betray my deep and abiding love for an outro. I'm happy with an A B, and then oh my gosh, what's this?
And we don't need to resolve it. We don't need to go back to
Right.
what we already did. Yeah.
I'm sending you off.
I like to think of it as an epiphany. That's kind of what I like.
Oh, heck yeah.
There you go.
Like,
Right.
I feel like because that is kind of, at least lyrically, what seems to be going on in these songs is like it's the section where, and that's sometimes what bridges do. But I like, if you've had an epiphany, do you really want to go back to before?
No, you cannot go back. You cannot go
So
back.
it should be an outro.
Yeah, the A part
I
out
like
the window.
this.
That was earlier.
Joe asked about, what do you say, nylon string guitar in the background. There is no nylon string in the background. The lead instrument is electric, and the background is a string trio. And I think you have a picture of that string trio.
I do.
On part of the song, I had them switch to pizzicato, so maybe that's the nylon you're hearing. But there's no nylon in that one. So yeah, that first shot right there, that's the closest woman in the picture. That is my friend Alyssa Rose, who I toured with years ago. Wonderful human, and she wrote all the string arrangements for this album. And I flew out to San Francisco, and we recorded the string section in the studio of Todd Sickafoose. Todd is now crushing it. Well, he was part of Anais Mitchell's Hadestown on Broadway, so that's tying some things together there. But yeah, so Alyssa there in the front, she and Todd recorded the string section.
Right on. I was looking to see if I had a picture of that, but I don't know if I do here. So.
And you were mentioning the electric guitar in the beginning. When I was hearing that, and then the flutes in the beginning, it had a real like 1970s kind of feel to it. Like
not flutes.
Oh, they weren't flutes.
Mellotron.
Excellent.
Which, like, if you notice, like, that's why it would sound more like 70s and antiquated, right? It's like that little warble, because it's literally, for our listeners who might not know, I don't know much about mellotrons, but there's literally tape, like it's a keyboard, like it's a vintage synthesizer. But what you're actually, when you hit a note, tape is literally being played through, of whether it's the flute or the clarinet or the strings or whatever you had selected. So yeah.
Excellent. That is, but anyway, I had this very, for me it was 1970s, but I loved it. And which also seemed appropriate. I mean, I know if you're going to become an Amish person, you wouldn't be going back to 1970s. It might be like 1770s, but
yeah. Joe has corrected himself. Not corrected himself, corrected me. Yes, Joe, this is a nylon string in the background.
The background of video.
Yep. Got it, Joe.
Yeah. Sorry, Joe. Sorry for misunderstanding you. Yeah, I love playing piano very much. It's something wonderful about coming to rest at an instrument and just sinking into it and not wielding it like a guitar. So anyway, I love piano, but I haven't moved my piano into the tiny house yet. And so, yeah, I love my nylon string. I really love playing electric guitar and classical guitar. Both have a certain elasticity in common that acoustic guitar doesn't have. I like acoustic too, but if I were to choose, it'd be classical or electric.
Excellent. And, with the weight limit in your tiny home, you definitely can't move that keyboard in until you sell some vinyl. So
that's
folks,
right.
To make up the weight differential.
Yeah. So if folks want to pick that up, they can do that at the Bandcamp. And also, there's also a tip jar as well. So if you like what you hear, you can throw something in there so that you can help, with all the different construction she has going on. And we would love to hear a little bit about your tiny home if you were willing to give us a little tour, because this has been your project, right, for the last couple of years during the pandemic.
Yeah, I mean, the world's shut down. What you gonna do? You're gonna build a house, I guess, even though you don't know how to, even though you have to Google what an impact driver is. But now I know. So yeah, folks out there, I've been building my own house out here.
And where's out here?
Generally about 40 minutes outside of the Twin Cities. So kind of out in the country. And it's lovely out here. I have ducks for neighbors. I have other family on this property. So there's some, can you please go check on the heater in the house? Is it okay? Are the ducks alive? But here, I'll turn the camera around and you can see. So I'm in the nice corner. I'm on one of the lofts that looks like an actual place that you could live, but prepare yourself to see the rest of it, which is a construction site. Hurrah! All right, so
Ooh,
It's looking pretty nice. Though,
that's
I gotta
looking
say.
that's looking pretty
I
nice
mean,
indeed.
it's deceptive. So that's my lovely newly converted propane stove. But do I have propane lines run yet? No, there's snow. I'll run those later. But yeah, I don't have running water or anything, but I'm getting there. Back behind the little mini fridge, where am I going? Back behind there, that wall behind there, that's the bathroom, which is just a room. So anyway, one day up there is where that will be my bedroom. So,
Nice.
but yeah, this is my little world.
Yeah, it seems like this would be a great retreat for songwriting. Have you been writing at all in your tiny house yet?
Yes, I have, despite not having a piano. Some friends and I, including Siri, actually, we're writing a song a day this month. So I have no choice. Every day that I'm out here, I must write a song.
Right on.
I have committed myself.
And it's also a good way of procrastinating on any house projects that you
exactly.
maybe
Right.
the propane. I mean,
Because that's the important work. Music is the important work, right? That's the one that changes the world. The propane line can wait.
And I don't need running water. It's fine. Like, it's going to be okay. A bathroom can be a bucket. It's okay.
Well, getting back to your dreams of living like an Amish. So, I mean, you are prepared. Well, and when before we came on today, you were chatting about how you maybe had dreams about doing a construction happy hour to give like updates on your progress. Is this something that you are thinking about doing?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it quite a bit. I miss, kind of earlier in the pandemic, I actually did a live stream series where I played through my entire back catalog, starting at the very beginning, and had guests on like you're doing now who were part of the record, and it was a lot of fun. And it was. We actually played the songs, and I haven't been really doing much live streaming lately. And turns out the pandemic is still happening. Whoops. And I don't know. I really like being in this space, and so I'm trying to figure out how I can do like a monthly construction site cocktail accountability hour. I figure it would kind of help me motivate, because I'd have to have something to show for myself month to month. So we'll see. The catch with it is that I'm out here in the sticks, and I'm doing this just on my cell. And so I don't know how robust I can get away with for live streaming out here.
It looks and sounds good.
At least today, the weather must be just right, because the satellites are aligned.
Sponsored by Verizon.
Well, if you do end up doing that, let us know. Yeah. We'll make sure to promote it.
As long as it's not Friday 4 to 5, we'll be there.
So. That's the only time it can be. I'm so sorry, Ellen.
Well, we can consider this your very first construction update.
Yes,
there we go.
So it's now officially started.
So we'll check in on that propane. We'll check in on the propane next time. So, although if you wait long enough, it will be summer, and then
I'm pretty sure that one's not going to happen till spring, because it requires me
digging into the ground.
Well, no, just like crawling out of the belly of this house. And, anyway.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's grody outside.
Yeah, it is that. Here in the Twin Cities, it's snowy and cold. And no matter where you're tuned in from, thank you for joining us today on the Back Catalog Listening Party. We usually pretty much just talk about music. Today we are having wide-ranging topics on the show, which I love.
Whoopsie-daisy.
But let's get back into the music, because this album really is one of my favorites. I think I have all your albums, Rachel, but this is one of the ones that I go back to the most frequently, certainly on my radio show. And so I'm really excited to dig into these songs a little bit. And this next one you picked is Standing Still. Is there anything you want to say about it?
Oh, yeah. I don't know if Adrian is still here, but I want to say hi, Adrian, because I wrote this song for him. This song, I wrote it in Iowa when I was house sitting in a tiny house, like way before tiny houses were a thing. I was like, this is the cutest place I've ever seen. And there's like a spot for everything. Anyway, there were tornadoes in the area, and I was very aware of being in this like tiny box on a hill in Iowa. They could have been swept up in a second. And it's just about love and a relationship. And Adrian is still here. Hey, dear. Yeah, just kind of, I guess the song is sort of about having a faith that at the end of it all, no matter what happens, we'll be standing still. There's different ways you can interpret that, but and the lovely duet voice that you hear is the one and only Gregory Alan Isakov. I texted him one day. I was like, "Hey, do you want to sing a duet on my album?" And he was like, "Yep, send it over." and so that's what we have here. And I think you have a picture of us drunk in Times Square.
Okay, I gotta
believe
find
that I sent you.
If that's true, then yes, I will. I gotta find this
I'm wearing
picture
a
here.
big Russian hat.
Let's see here. All right. And did you know Gregory from earlier days? How did that come about?
We met at Kerrville Folk Festival, probably in 2005 would be my guess.
Oops, here, let me get that banner off there.
A lot of scotch went before that picture.
Nice. Well, we'll be listening for that voice, and we'll just I'll start the song here, and we'll get the album cover back up. It says Rachel Ries, Standing Still, here on the back catalog listening party.
The sound of a pump organ.
I wait for you in Iowa, in the house upon the hill. Yesterday tornadoes came, but here I'm standing still. Here I'm standing still. Here I'm standing still. I know these past few days have been the hardest that we've had. Last night we nearly lost it all, but here we're standing still. Here we're standing still. Here we're standing still. Here we're standing still. Here we standing still. And I would give it all, I'd give it all to you. If only I knew what it is I've got for you, what I've got to give you, what it is I've got for you. On the day that we pass on into nobody knows, may we leave a memory of us after the storm. Ever standing still, here we're standing still. Here we're standing still. Here we standing still.
I I love that. And I love that that ending did not need an epiphany. It was already
No, it did
there.
not.
It was lovely. That was Standing Still from Rachel Reese's 2014 release Ghost of a Gardener, which we are revisiting today with Rachel joining us from her tiny home outside of the Twin Cities. Tony and I tuned in from South Minneapolis, and you all joining us online as we have a little musical happy hour together. And yeah, such a beautiful song. And I love one thing I've always admired about your music, Rachel, is that you there's a confidence in what you do where you don't feel a need to rush anything. Like songs like that, like not everyone feels comfortable doing that, where you it's like you kind of want to nudge it forward, but it's like nope. Like
Yeah.
I can almost feel like nope, you gotta hold back, and it makes it so much better as a result. So
Yeah. Yeah, if you're not trying to write a pop song, it makes it so much better.
There's
Not
not a
many
formula.
pop hits going on over here, but you know what? I'm stubborn and I'm taking my time, everybody.
Yeah,
yeah,
you had mentioned that this was a couple years coming, like this album. So
Oh
were
yeah.
these songs that you had been writing during this time when you were trying to not do music, or was it like after 2 years you just had this burst of creative energy and were able to write it?
My friend, when I said I quit playing music, I did not sing. Like I
Wow.
did not. I entered into a life of musical celibacy for 2 years and change because it hurt too much. Because all my friends were getting famous and I wasn't. Because everyone else was better than I was. Because it was never going to be enough, and so I just quit to see. Yeah, to see if music still had value beyond all of that, like hunger and lust.
and I guess you
Mm-hmm.
discovered it did because
Yeah,
Yes.
clearly. So
Yeah.
I
Yes.
mean, that is interesting because even though that sounds excruciatingly painful,
Yeah.
but sometimes, yeah, those epiphanies come from like you don't know until you really
Yeah.
dig into that and
Yeah.
and realize that what am I doing? I need
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, if it's that much part of your identity, you can't survive without doing it.
Tony, I did a really smart thing. So like when I decided I was going to play music again, I around that time Anais Mitchell was finishing up her getting ready to tour Young Man in America record that came out in 2016, no, 2012. And she asked me to be in that touring band. We'd toured a bunch in the past in different configurations, and but this time she wanted me to like be in a band proper, and I was like, hell yeah, I want to do that. That sounds great. With our friend Ben, who's in Cuddle Magic, and with her husband Noah and their little baby. Great, bring it on. Actually, that was before the baby. But I also knew that by the end of that touring cycle with Anais, I was going to be sick of being in her shadow. And I was, as much as I love her, and I was gonna like want to be clawing my way out and into my own music. And so before all that touring started in 2012, I holed up for a month in this little cabin on a lake in somewhere in the south, in Tennessee. And I just wrote for a month and just sort of allocated time for me to remember how to be a writer again. And I wrote Holiest Day and a bunch of other stuff. And those are the seeds that turned into this record. And I'm so glad I knew to like go and write and attend to my own creative spirit before giving all of my creative energies to my best friend.
Mm-hmm.
So that when that touring was over, I'd have these songs to pick back up and convert into the next album. Yeah. So I turned actually those demos from that time are called the Laurel Lake EP, and you can still get those at Rachel Ries Bandcamp. Not the physical version because I sewed like 317 fabric sleeves for that for that release. But
Wow.
the you can still get those early demos digitally for that one.
And Helen says, lovely memories of first meeting you
Oh,
on the Young
yeah.
Man tour and talking baking. Yes, Rachel is a woman of many talents, building tiny homes, baking, sewing the sleeves for her albums, and of course, making great music. And yeah, actually, I was trying to remember the first time I saw you perform, Rachel, and I think it was at the Old Acadia in Minneapolis with
Oh.
Anais, the two
That
of
sounds
you.
Was it country
The
EP?
It might have even been before Country EP came
Okay.
out, but it was just the two of you kind of swapping songs back and forth.
Yeah.
And you know, that room held what, maybe 30 people? Maybe.
Is
It
this the one on
seems like
Franklin?
Yeah, the one, yeah.
I do
So
remember that. For you Twin Cities folks, this is
yeah,
a little
this
bit
is
Yeah.
lore.
digging back. So anyway, it's really great to have you digging into this record, Ghost of a Gardener. But of course, you've made a whole bunch of records since. And if folks want to check them out, they can go to hercrookedheart.com to find them. And but we are going to, I don't know, do we have time for, I can't remember how long these two tracks are. Do we have time for one or two? I realize I did not check that.
It looks like I bet you we could squeeze them in if Rachel, if you have the time, I think we could do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, as long as I don't talk too much, we have time for two.
I'd love
Okay.
to hear as much as possible here.
Okay,
tonight.
well then let's go with I See It Coming next.
Okay.
Is there anything you want to say before we dig in?
Hold on to your hats, everybody. So this song is weird and dark, and it is directly a dream I had as a child put into song form. And for the video of this song, Anna Roberts-Gavalt of Anna and Elizabeth, if you know that folk duo.
Oh yeah.
Anna's an artist as well, so she came over to our house in Vermont where I was living after New York, and we made a cranky, which is this long scroll of a piece of art. And so the video for this song is this scroll that's physically moving by. Like, we illustrated this song, and I sent you guys some pictures of that, so you could always pop those up while we're playing the song. But yeah, this song is about a terrifying dream, or is a retelling of a terrifying dream I had as a child.
Well, before the song starts here,
Yeah.
I did track those down. So this is
Yeah.
that scroll you're talking
Yep,
about.
So that's Anna. Oh, that's my quilt in the background. Yeah. So she kind of illustrated things, and then we just Aeneas and Noah. That's Noah bending over Aeneas's husband Noah, and that's my roommate Addie holding Aeneas and Noah's baby at the time, Ramona. She's 8 now.
Oh wow.
And we just had a bunch of crafting artsy parties making this video for this song. So.
Super cool. All right, well, let's give it a listen. This is
All right.
I See It Coming. Rachel Ries here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
When I was lonely, when I was 9, I had these dreams where everybody died. Some are too awful for me to retell, but one burned a brand in my skull, 'cause I saw it coming. Out in the country, in the church parking lot, just a kid kicking gravel while the others milled about. Then I saw it coming, burn in the fields, a wall of lava, smoking our heels. So I tried to tell them, look up to the western sky, don't you feel the heat rising? Our world is on fire. Waving my little arms and stamping the ground, flailing the truth from out my mouth. now I'm never lonely, and you're listening too. But still, I've these dreams I see are coming true. Yeah, I see it coming. I see it coming. I see it coming.
I can't talk over that. It's so hypnotic.
It
Um,
was so fun to mix this song, and I sent you guys a picture of me like straddling like on the floor playing with my hands the feet pedals of an organ. That's the bass part you hear in this one is like
I'll
from
see if I
an
can track that
old
down
organ. So
That's
this song was
awesome.
fun to make.
Yeah, and I love, Joe was pointing out the relentless rhythmic thrum of that rich orchestration really fits the lyrics, and I would imagine also fits the video because, as you said, it's like one scrolling thing. It doesn't,
Yep.
kind of stop. Oh, there we go. Nice.
That was one of the best times I've ever had in studio.
That's that's a really interesting bass technique.
Yeah,
I love it.
my feet are
Yeah.
not as smart as my hands. So
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, Alan says outro. Yeah, you definitely sometimes save the best, tastiest nuggets for the end. So folks should
Yeah.
never rush through these songs. That's for sure.
Yep.
Well, let's. Speaking of, we're gonna
Rushing.
squeeze in. Yeah, we're just gonna rush our talking so we can squeeze in one more song, which
Yeah.
I think is the
Yeah.
appropriate way to do it. In this song, "Words," which is one of my favorites actually on this record. Is there anything you want to say about it, or you let the words speak for themselves?
I tried to write a pop hit. Yeah, this song, this is the first one I wrote after all that silence. It's all about like the words used to be here on my tongue, like they've come back. So yeah, that's this song. It was the first one I wrote.
All right, perfect way to close out the hour of music here, and we're excited to listen to Words from Rachel Ries here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Well, the words used to be alive in my mouth, trying to find a way out. Strange how it was I could never make them stay or go away. Willful were they, and caught in their clutch was I. Well, unholy the days when I stood in their way, loneliest of hours, but joyful and mad when they made it back to a light on my loosened tongue. Willful were they, and caught
Rachel Ries with words from her 2014 release, Ghost of a Gardener, which we have been revisiting today on the back catalog listening party. Folks really enjoying that. And Andy said, looking forward to see you back in the UK, Rachel. And I know that touring's a little up in the air right now, but if folks want to keep tabs on you, they can do that at your website, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Or crookedheart.com. And
social media, whatever.
we should also mention you have a Patreon. So that's another way to stay in touch with
that
you.
would be amazing. That's where I'm writing a song a day. I create a lot of new stuff. I share choir arrangements. I write poems and send postcards to patrons. Yeah. Like just today, I wrote a weird song about the marsh and some ducks, and I'll be sharing it with them later this month. So
nice. Yeah. Well, you can go to, if you're just listening to this, it's just patreon.com/Rachel Ries.
And we should also mention, again, you can get this album. Creative Mapping Project said this album is so worth the deep listen. And so I would agree with that. And so you could pick up your own copy. And pick
I
up
just
that
want to
vinyl.
point out that, like, you mentioned writing a pop song or whatever.
Yeah.
But like music like this, just like your album cover, I mean, there's just tons and tons of layers. And all I can think about, this is my first listen to this. And all I want to do now is go back and listen. And I guess
All
I
over
would reckon
again.
that after each listen, I'm going to pick up something else. So I just want to second that. I think this is one of those, those albums that you just have to, keep listening to and then unraveling. So head on over to hercrookedheart.bandcamp.com. Get one of 2 vinyl copies from the first pressing that are left over. And you won't regret it.
And folks saying how much they've been enjoying seeing Rachel, hearing about these songs. And we should mention that if you like this, then like it on YouTube. Give it the thumbs up to direct more bots to Rachel Ries and Her Crooked Heart. And you can subscribe to our YouTube channel because we do this every week. Not with Rachel Ries every week, but different guest artists digging into old records. So you can subscribe and find out what's happening next week. And we have some great shows planned this year, so you can check that out. And the reason we're able to do this is because artists like Rachel give up an hour of their time to join us, and you all listen, and some of you even support us every month through our Patreon. And this is why this pandemic experiment is still happening, is because people like you support it.
Yes.
Penny, Anna, Linda, Bevan, Connie, Vaughn, Alan, Chris, Alex, Becky, Galen, Peggy, Joe, Jim, Beverly, John, Fred, Tim, Sarah, David, Jocelyn, Court, Matt, Steve, Mark, Homestead Pick and Parlor, and Severin. Thank you so much. And if you want to join and get in on, we have an after party coming up with Reina Del Cid, private Zoom party. So you can get in on that by joining our Patreon.
Yeah.
So.
And we just really appreciate all of you being here. I mean, Rachel mentioned earlier, it's hard to believe that we're still in the situation where, exactly. But we found a way, right? Like that is what we do. That's our mission as musicians and artists is to bring people together, and that's what it's all about. That's how we get through this. For great music like Rachel's, and folks like you coming in and supporting it. So thank you so much for being here week in and week out.
Yes, ditto. And with this winter happening, we're really excited to have this hour with you every week. And until next Friday, have a wonderful week and stay safe out there, folks.
Yeah. Take care.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers.
Cheers.